Welcome to Holly's Pandorium, featuring your host, psychic medium Holly Jordan.
Hey everybody, it's Holly. We're back, and I have with me today a psychic that's in my area. Oh my God, I didn't even know she was here.
Yeah, we're
This
pretty close.
right? This is Sandi Buchanan, and she's got, I'm sure, some very interesting stories, but we're gonna hear them for the first time. Sandi, welcome to my Pandorium podcast. I'm glad you're here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I've been looking forward to this.
This is wonderful. So I would love to hear all about your journey becoming a psychic, and you said you have an interesting story that you can share that people like to hear. What is that?
I do. The story first, or how I started talking to angels at the age of 2?
Oh, however you want to start, it's up to you.
Okay, well, just a
Just
little bit about me. I was
okay.
adopted, and I started talking to angels when I was 2, and I just figured everybody did this, right? And I would get messages, and I wouldn't know what they were about or anything, and I would just blurp them out to people. And it went on for a lot of years. And when I was in high school, I had to take my mother to church. I'm a recovering Catholic. Hope nobody's offended by that. But one day we were outside the rectory, and I was dropping her off because she didn't drive. And we were having a very heated argument. And I said, I'm done. I'm not going to Mass anymore. I was 17. I'm done. That's not where I belong. And she argued, well, going to try to make this in a condensed version, but my favorite priest, Father K, comes by and he's like, Mrs. Buchanan, what is the matter? So she explained what was going on. And he looked at me and winked. Then he said to my mom, so Mrs. Buchanan, I have a really great idea, but it's got to be okay with Sandi. I need somebody on Sundays upstairs to work with the 4 and 5-year-olds. She's perfect. She loves kids. They love her. And it would be a great fit. So after quite a bit of coercion, my mother finally huffily walked off into the rectory for Mass and left me with Father K. He
Okay.
looked at me, winked, and said, and Sandi, please deliver the messages from the angels to the children. Mind you, I was blown away because I didn't know anybody knew I did that. And it was just phenomenal.
Wow.
Now, fast forward quite a few decades because I've been doing this. I'm 72. I've been doing this a long dang time. And the paranormal, I've always believed in it, because I talk with beings, I work with other arenas. And I was out camping in a place here in the Pacific Northwest called Trout Lake, Washington. And there are 12 little lakes called Forlorn Lakes. So my ex and I went there to camp one night. There's nothing but an outhouse there. We were the only ones there. It was so cool. In the middle of the night, I'm going to guess about 1 because I didn't have a watch on, nor did I even care to look. The tent inside lit up totally, bright white, and beautiful voices. And I heard, follow us. Well, my ex didn't hear. He didn't even know I left the tent. I followed him down to this little forlorn lake where I saw what looked to me like what I'd always envisioned and heard of as a spaceship, right? And I heard, Commander, please join us. So I got onto this, and it was just absolutely wow. I was being trained and caught up, and so much was going on, downloads and everything. The next thing I know, I'm laying on the beach at this little forlorn lake, and it's daylight. And I had watched the ship go off, and a lot of goodbyes and see you again soon. Well, I didn't tell my ex about this. Didn't believe. He didn't like that I was a psychic medium. Well, a week later, I went out to a place called North Plains, Oregon, where I facilitated spiritual groups. and we always had guest speakers. I hadn't been out there in a long time because it's almost an hour away from me in Battleground. So I decided to go out there. I just heard, go out there this evening. Well, the guest speaker's husband was sitting next to me, and he looks at me and he goes, oh my God, you're the one. I go, huh? He goes, did you know that there was a convention at the ECETI ranch? It's a ranch where people go to see the extraterrestrials at the base of Mount Adams. And if you research Mount Adams, there's a lot about the goings on underneath this mountain. And I said, how did you know? He said, we all watched you. 2,000 of us were sitting there, and we watched, and we saw you. And I was like, wow, confirmation. Woo, I'm not crazy after all.
Right? Oh
But
my goodness.
yeah, and then he gave me an autographed copy of a book called Exopolitics. I recommend to everyone. He wrote it, and he has references to Jimmy Carter, our former president, who also was involved in the paranormal. And
Yes, he was. Yes, he was.
yeah, so this book is just a phenomenally good book. But it was like, then I realized the veil is so thin, and there are beings from other dimensions, however you want to say it, that are right there. And the reason I say I'm a recovering Catholic, and you probably know this too, Holly, from your experiences working on the other side, I do not believe that a God of any kind is going to instill fear in the children he loves. I believe we have God, a higher power inside us, and it's what we do with it and how we learn in our lifetimes. So, well, that was pretty cool.
Yes, absolutely. That's incredible. That had to be so amazing to have the acknowledgement. I think that would have probably knocked me over, just to have someone acknowledge you like that. That is amazing.
Yeah, that was around 2007, and like I said, the fact that they saw me, because they were about, I'm going to say 15 miles from my campsite, but they have a beautiful spot. I've been up there, and I've watched the ships go under Mount Adams.
Wow.
So that was pretty cool. If you haven't done that, Holly, you're not that far.
No, I'm not that far. And it's interesting that you say that, because I am constantly drawn to Battleground. Constantly.
Are you? Ah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, if you think about it, where we are here in the Pacific Northwest, everything in the universe is in threes. They taught me that years ago, decades ago. We are surrounded and protected by 3 awakening volcanoes, big mountains. Got Mount Hood, Mount Adams, and Mount St. Helens. And then, of course, Mount Rainier is really kicking butt right now.
Right.
So it's just fascinating to me to be a part of it all and accepted into it. I've had people come up to me that were in my spiritual groups, and one time in particular, my friend's son, Jaden, who was, I think, 9 at the time, kept saying, Mom, will you bring Sandy home? I need to meet the commander. I need to meet my commander. And she's just thinking he's off the wall nuts. And she says to me, will you humor him and come? And I laughed, because this was after I was up with the ship. So I went, and as soon as I walked in, he's commander, and he started talking about things that most 9-year-olds do not know or understand.
Right.
And Leisha just went, I guess you are his commander. Yep, guess so.
Wow. That's incredible. That's incredible.
Yeah. I feel very blessed to live the life that I do. And I'm sure you do too, because when we deliver messages to people who don't connect, and we teach them how to connect and do all these wonderful things, there's something that just makes the heart expand and open them all in. And it's a wonderful feeling to know that we've helped people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think I felt like it didn't matter if it was one person at a time or several people. It didn't matter. Every single person that gets an affirmation of their own, or gets a feeling of piece for anything, for a loved one that's passed on, or a nagging question that's been haunting them to do or not do something, any of those answers, any of that life resolution, there's
Yes,
nothing like it. There's nothing like having a little peace of mind. We all need that sooner or later. We all have
absolutely.
things that drag us down and make us feel heavier and less capable.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that since probably my teenage years also, I have been doing end of life doula work.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
like to call it death doula. I call it
Right.
end of life doula.
There you go.
The one that does the hospice or anything. I do the palliative work, which is when I meet with somebody and, like you're saying, that validation, everything's great. I ask them, how would you like people to remember you? Would you like to write a story? What would you like to do? Let's make this be a beautiful experience for you. And
Right.
while we're doing that, let's make sure that if you have any unfinished business with any family or friends, we address that and you visit them or talk to them. That way, no one has any regrets when they
Right.
go.
That's wonderful. That's a great way to resolve that. It's passing is always so complicated, for the
Yeah,
person that's going through it and everyone around them that feels helpless and incapable of doing anything about it, stopping it for one, and then
absolutely.
how to make it okay, because it's not okay. Um,
No,
my
it's
husband
not.
and I talk about it a lot, and he has lost several members of his family in the last few years and a friend. And he said he's so glad that he has me to talk to and to intercede and connect with ones that have passed on, because it's not so painful knowing that, yeah, their body's gone and you can't hug them anymore, and that really sucks. But
Mhm.
getting to connect with them one more time, even for a brief moment, is so edifying. It feels so much better. So I'm
Yes,
grateful to be able to do that.
yes, yes, as well you should be. I am too. And it's kind of interesting because I had my very best friend, it's Kat, that I had for 19 years. She would come into um, sessions with me. And if somebody paid me by check back in the day, she would get in their face like, where's mine? And they started bringing her treats and she held the space. She crossed over a year ago, but here to me, there are two interesting things about Ms. Mimosa. I wanted a black cat. She was not, but I humored a friend and went to Portland to see her kittens.
Mhm,
I walked in and she said, this is your kitty. And I go, you don't think so? She didn't like me. She was a beautiful orange color, not a tabby though, but
mhm,
orange, white. And
mhm.
so after she beat the crap out of her brothers, knocked them off the cat tower, took their food, she jumped up into my lap, looked right in my face, and I heard, let's go. And I'm like,
Oh,
oh, this is going to be a journey. Going to be a journey. So we're walking out to the car. And I'm saying to her, I said, oh, honey, I don't know what to name you. I was hoping for a black cat. And she looked at me again with that look and said, I'm Mimosa. Mimosa. Righty then. So hence Miss Mimosa. And
so funny.
when she was getting ready that I knew I had to aid her in crossing over, I had always asked her, I said, tell me when I need to assist you. And we will
Mhm.
have someone come here and do it for us. So I heard on a Monday, I heard this coming Friday, August 3rd at 3:30 p.m. I went, excuse me? She was telling me.
Wow.
And then I looked it up numerologically and
Mhm.
it came to a 9 completion. I
Sure.
went, chills. But and she did, and it happened just beautifully on that day. And we talk all the time. Sometimes she kicks
Nice.
my butt and says, will you quit grieving me? Can't help it. I'm sorry.
Right. It's hard not to. It's hard not to.
Oh, yes. Especially once you understand that all life has a soul and we really can communicate with all the fur
Yes.
babies. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you've done some interesting things with your work as a psychic medium. Can you talk about that a little?
Oh, gee. My favorite thing used to be to travel all around and do presentations. My first presentation at a psychic fair over in Spokane, Washington, uh, I was asked to go ahead and give a talk, and I'm like, I don't know what to talk about, you know. So I go into the room 2 minutes ahead of when I'm supposed to be there, and the room is packed. And I went, oh, am I too early? Oh, no, these people are here from you. My talk I titled Messages from the Angels. That's simply all it was. And I told them about myself and a couple of other stories that if we have time and you'd like to hear, I'll tell you. But I just went into trance and started channeling and said, I need 2 helpers in the back of the room. There were over 75 people. I had 30 minutes to deliver as many messages as possible. After
Holy smokes.
I got all 75 of them with the help of those beautiful people that were there, you know, pointing out.
Nice.
I've been waiting. And when I got done, a gift from one of the people that was there, she looked at me and said, you worked with Edgar Casey in a past life, didn't you? And I go, yes. How could you tell? She said, the rapid eye movement. You don't think everything comes through your eyes doing that, and all the information just comes through.
Right.
So that was really phenomenal, especially someone confirming what I'd always thought I knew.
Sure.
Time I got back to my booth, the sheet was all filled up for the rest of the day of readings.
I bet.
Yeah, and I like to do that. That's my goal right now, and shifting my business. I want to start traveling more, and I want to present it in different areas of the country. I'm not the one that wants to be the big who making gazillions of money and being number one out there.
Right.
I want the people that can't get the help.
Yeah.
And when I was in Indiana, my daughter's, she moved there because my son-in-law is from there, and took me to Camp Chesterfield, the oldest spiritualist camp in this country. Boy, talk about paranormal and stuff. That place is amazing, amazing energy. But some of the elders there, and when I did help them with their Sunday service, were like, you're the next Sylvia Brown. Why are you fighting it? And I went, huh? I did not know who Sylvia Brown
Oh
was.
no. Oops. Okay. Okay. Who is that? Okay. Oops.
Yeah. So I guess I still get told that no matter where I go. So apparently I'm the next Sylvia Brown in some ways. Don't know.
Okay. It's funny to hear things like that, though. I get that. That's a lot to process. I'm sure once you've learned about her, that had to be a little bit of a wow. Yeah,
It was a little mind-boggling,
I'm sure.
but also a nice, again, confirmation. I don't need kudos. I don't need to be put on a pedestal. I do enjoy the feedback from people.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the follow-up with me is one of my favorite things when people get back to me and tell me that something happened that I told them would
Yeah.
happen, or that they connected with someone that they had asked about, or whatever it is, small, medium, large, I don't care. It's just great to hear feedback from people. So I get what you're meaning. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a really good feeling. It kind of makes us realize that we are in our purpose. We're in alignment doing what we came here to do. And that's
Right.
not an easy thing to step into for a lot of people.
Right. So when you talk about sending message from angels, I'm sure that hits a lot of religious points at some directive. There are people of pagan belief that talk about angels, and then of course there's Christianity that talks about angels, and a few other religions. Are
Yeah.
you noticing at this point in time a theme to any of the messages that you've been getting? Is it changing? Is there anything interesting happening on that front?
There is. The theme the last, I'm going to say about 14 months, especially when I'm doing a group message for the whole group, no matter who's with me on Facebook Live or wherever, it has been preparation. Preparation. Grow your own food. Watch your bodies. Do everything with what Earth and Gaia gave you as medicine. Do not do what is being shoved at you,
Mm-hmm.
which has been fascinating because I've had both hips replaced. I take 0 medications. I'm a rebel, And my whole family knows if I manage to manifest cancer, I'm not going to do chemo or radiation. Doing it my way. It's just how strong-willed I am, and I have remained very healthy for my age.
That's great.
Yeah, so.
That's great. So, can you tell us a little bit about your history with angels and how that's worked in your life?
Okay. See, when I was a teenager, we went back to Rhode Island every couple of years, my adoptive mom and me, to see her family back there. She was from Pawtucket, Rhode Island. And I had a favorite aunt who actually came out to visit us in Washington State when I was very young. And when I went back when I was 16, she was in they called it sanitarium then. So I forget what year that was. I think it was around 69, somewhere in there. And we got a call from the sanitarium. If you'd like to see Cora before she crosses, you need to come. I was about an hour away, and my adoptive mother, she couldn't handle death at all. Oh my God, very, very old school Catholic. And I said, well, I'm going. She said, no, you're not. I go, yes, I am. I'm representing the family on the West Coast that Aunt Cora loved all of us, loved Dad's family, loved us all. And we get there, and my two aunts and my cousin that came with me decided they were hungry. And I said, I'm going to stay with Aunt Cora. I came all this way. I'm staying. She, mind you, had been in a coma for 4 years.
Oh.
She opens her eyes after they walked out of the room and said, I'm so glad you made it to say goodbye, Sandy. You always were my favorite. And I've loved you and missed you. And we talked for, I don't know, 10 or 15 minutes. Then all of a sudden, I saw angel energy all around her. And she said, I love you. And I said, I love you. And then I watched as the angels lifted her up out of her body and took her home.
Nice.
And I wasn't aware that it takes a while before we stop breathing. So I was sitting there going, I'm only 16, not quite knowing what's going on.
I was going to say, how old were you? Yeah, that's a big experience for a 16-year-old, any age really, but to not know anything about the death experiences.
Yeah. But I was so grateful to see it because in her instance, it was peaceful, beautiful. She was ready, and it was absolutely wonderful. And a few years later, I had an aunt in Washington State who was my favorite, always made me boysenberry pie because she knew I love boysenberries. And she had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So she was in the hospital. It went very rapidly. And I came down. I lived about 2 hours away, came to visit her in the hospital. She never had anybody do anything for her. Had me feed her dinner. Very Presbyterian, mind you. She was very, very into. And her husband, they were just like, beat the crap out of people. If you don't, what the Bible says.
Right.
But Aunt Tina just loosened up and didn't want Uncle Bob there. And we didn't say goodbye. But I got back up to my home in Sequim, Washington at the time, and was driving home from Sequim to my house, and the clouds opened up above me, and I said, oh, I love you, Aunt Tina. Bye. You're happy now. I got home, phone rang. My dad was calling me. Aunt Tina just passed. I didn't tell him I'm aware she said goodbye because he quite on that page, but I've had so many experiences over the years of people coming to me as they're crossing.
Yeah.
And also, whenever I'm aware, whenever there's a major death occurrence globally from something, and it's usually a natural disaster, I'm aware of it ahead of time, and I'm aware that I'm going to be helping souls cross over.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's pretty fascinating.
I have a cousin that does that. She always knows. Yeah. She has very vivid dreams, that show her what's coming and where and what's going to happen. And so, she deals with that a lot.
And I think the other issue I have with organized religion is they do not encourage the human being to be the human being with their own soul, their own heart, their own beliefs. They try to manipulate you, just like the government and everything, to their way of doing anything.
Right.
So I developed a mentoring program later on to help people find themselves. No judgment, just who are you? What do you want in life?
Right.
Don't waste your life.
Right. So when did you start doing that? How old were you when you started doing that?
In my 20s, I was always the block mom. I was a single mom for my 3 kids. I had everybody coming to me for everything. And even in high school, people would pass me notes about boyfriends and stuff. And then they'd later on, how did you know that? And I go, oh, a little help. Because I honestly wasn't aware that I was just an open channel at that time.
Yeah.
You know, it took me years to realize, oh, this is what channelers do.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I have to ask, so can you think of a story when you got channeled information for a total stranger, and let's say you're at a restaurant or somewhere out in public, and it was impressed upon you to go give someone a message that you didn't know? Can you share one of those stories?
Okay. I was shopping at Kmart in south of Seattle with my kids. And all of a sudden, the kids are going, do you know that person? This person comes up to me and starts talking to me. And I go, would you mind if I gave you a message from the angels? Apparently, you've got something going on and you don't know whether to go right or left. And they want to help you make a good decision. Well, the woman just burst out crying because that was exactly what was going on with her. So I just stood with her for 10 or 15 minutes and walked her through everything. And she got my number. And a couple of weeks later, she said, oh my God, I got the job, not the one that I thought I was going to get. They were right to take the right turn, not the left. I would not have gotten the job. This is the one I really wanted, but I didn't think I could do it.
That's awesome. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've got several stories like that. Those are always fun. So can you think of a time when you're raising kids and you're just trying to do what you can do? Can you talk a little bit about what it's like to juggle and I'm going to use quotation marks, a normal life and being a psychic? What is that like?
Yeah,
For you?
to me, being a psychic has been my normal life. So,
Right.
and my kids all thought I was nuts. They didn't believe any of it for a long time. Then one day, my middle daughter, who was born 10 years after her sister and 364 days before her brother, that's the universe about that one. She's sitting on her bed with me, and she goes, hey, Mom, did you know that Josh, the one that was 364 days younger, didn't want to come into this life with me again? Because we were twins in the last life that we were in. And I go, yeah, I kind of figured because his heart stopped and we had a hard time getting him out. He was dragged his butt. And it was like they were lovers, the dynamic between the brother and the sister. Friends, worst enemies. And And so she started reading cards with me too. I do oracle cards. I do not do tarot. I do not care for tarot because to me, and my experience, tarot has a lot of energy of the person doing the reading. Whereas an oracle card, it's so clear. I don't hardly teach people how to use it to read for themselves.
Right.
And I encourage them to draw a card every morning and just say, what do I need to know today? Because even me who can tap in for me, I ignore.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the toughest things is that people assume when you're psychic that you know everything you know about yourself and your own life. And I have found that no, I don't. I do get hints and I do get direction and I do get guidance that I don't always pay attention to. Sometimes I got to just about thump me on the head to get me to pay attention because I get busy. I just get busy with my own thoughts and whatever's going on around me and all the shiny objects distracting me over here, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we all need a little help. We all need a little bit of input and some feedback and just some affirmation.
Yes.
Just some affirmation that we're okay or things are going as they should. I mean, everybody needs that once in a while.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Definitely.
Came here to learn, so may as well.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what are some stories that you think would be beneficial for people to hear these days?
Boy, that's a hard one, and when I'm doing my mentoring, everything's channeled, quite
Mhm.
honestly. People will say, well, what are we going to do? And I'll go, I'll know when you get here, or I'll know when we're online doing
Mm.
this. Oftentimes, there'll be 4 or 5 people that are having the same issue at the same time, which is great because we're all tapping in. But relationship issues seem to be the biggest one.
Yeah.
And I'm loving that women like myself have come to a stage in their lives where it's okay not to have a man. I
Mhm.
was married a couple times and I realized what my issue was about, intimate connection on an emotional basis because I was given up for adoption. So I couldn't get there.
Right.
But yeah, helping people to be okay with who they are and live their life the way they want to live it. So that's probably the biggest thing. The other thing, of course, is money, and people have an awful time, myself included, sometimes manifesting. I had to do the "Oh, I am worthy, and I'm just gonna quit thinking I'm not worthy" from depression. People that raise you, oh, for crying out loud.
Right.
So that that was huge, and a lot of people have that. And as you know, the powers that be in this country are making it harder and harder every day for
Yes.
people.
Absolutely. That's
And
very true.
the angels are encouraging us, though, not to be afraid, to
Yeah.
continue to walk our truth, help each other, even more so. Now, get back to coming from the heart and guiding and nurturing one another so that we can do what Gaia is doing, rebirthing Mother Earth in a positive way.
Right.
And everybody's probably noticing all the negative stuff going on around the world, but a lot of it, the governments, the people, the monetary systems, the frauds are being realized. The false promises are just exploding. Then, of course, the latest, biggest one that was a cause of division in this country were the vaccines, right?
Mhm.
And now Pfizer has put out all of the dangers and all of the things that are happening.
Yeah.
But if you believe in yourself and if you believe there is a higher power of something out there, you're going to be untouched. And they keep saying that, which is pretty cool because I do know a lot of people that, wow, they should not probably be here right now, but they are.
Yeah. I
So,
can definitely relate to that. I shouldn't be here. I had a couple things happen to me that were pretty profound, and I've been given a life expectancy a couple of times, and I've outlived it. I do take medication every day, but it's complicated. So for me, it works.
no, that's
But
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. But I know what you're talking about too, as far as angels' feedback, because what I've been hearing probably the last year and a half in particular is keep it about love.
Yes.
Maintain positivity, maintain love conversations, maintain my distance from the toxicity because it's easy to get swallowed up in it. It's very easy to maintain the status quo of negativity running all the time and repeating messages that are not constructive. They're not helping anybody. And
Right.
so, yeah, I really love that. So being able to be kind and loving in the face of a lot of adversity, I think is helpful
I think
because
so
we all
too.
need.
My very first job, I was a checker in a grocery store. I was 17 and I knew the store owner, so I got the job, right? His biggest thing was busy work and kill them with kindness, no matter how pissy any of those people were. And they would be because back in the day, we did not get the weekly ad, until Wednesday morning in the actual newspaper.
Oh wow.
who would be coming in and yelling at me if I didn't know the ad. So I would just calmly, well, what did you see in the paper? And if we don't have a coupon, I imagine we can probably get one for you eventually. So we aren't going to worry about it. But boy, I had some people just go off on me because I didn't know the ads.
Well, and I think what people don't know is this is at a time when there wasn't scan codes. You had
Right.
to know the price of everything yourself. Not everything was tagged and marked, and especially if there was a sale, which she's talking about for those of you listening and watching that aren't relating to this comment. Before scan codes, when we had regular cash registers with push buttons, much like a calculator would have buttons, the per checker would have to know how much every piece of fruit was and what they were, every canned good, every boxed item,
Yeah.
everything in the store. And in a grocery store that had everything, your laundry soap, dish soap, your vegetables, your meats, that's a lot to remember.
Fortunately,
And
they cities like the stores of today.
yes. And so there was a lot of memory going on there. And when an ad would come out, what she's talking about, they didn't always know what things were going to be from day to day. And so it could be very challenging to stay on top of all of that. So pretty incredible. Checkers today have no idea. They have to remember numbers to relate to objects, not like what you guys did in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, to keep sweet and nice all the time. People say I'm a kind, sweet person, so hopefully that's true because I didn't really have any problem wanting to be angry with anybody. I mean, of course,
Right.
my eyes sometimes like, are you kidding me?
Right. Well, sure. Well, sure.
But,
That's only natural.
yeah.
Of
So,
course. So can you share some of your other messaging through angels that you were talking about that you might want to share?
boy, there's so many things. I'm actually writing a book, and I've been interviewed quite a few times. Every time it's just I go with whatever they're telling me coming out my mouth.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, they're looking at our physicality right now, and they have been the last few months. If you are noticing that some of the foods that you've always eaten and always loved, they're just not appealing to you anymore, that's your higher self and your body saying, hey, lighten things up. And they have really been advising plant-based, and I actually listened to them a year and a half ago, and all of my digestive issues have disappeared. So y'all can tap in and get the answers yourself. In fact, what I do in one of my classes is I just have you close your eyes. You're all welcome to do this. This will just take a second. What is the first thing that comes into your mind? Is it a person? If it's a person, is this person alive? Or is this person on the other side? Trust what you see and feel, and you will receive the message clearly. Takes a little practice, but y'all can do it. Then come to us and we'll help you.
Right. That's the next part.
Yeah. Sometimes we need interpretation and we need some help to get past those bumps.
We do. We do. I think that's definitely something I've worked with a lot of budding psychics and startup psychics, and just finding focus can be some of the biggest, most challenging parts of getting going on a spiritual journey like that. To connect with your higher self and figure out what your guides are trying to tell you, or just finding a way to listen better. You
Yeah,
feel like somebody's trying to tell you something, but you're not sure what it is, and getting to narrow that down can be a challenge at times.
it can, because our biggest enemy is our brain. We
Hmm.
overthink, overanalyze, and we second guess ourselves. So that does take some fine tuning.
Yeah, I think one of the best descriptions of our brain has been likened to that of a drunken monkey, and I love that because it makes sense, because they're all over the place. Our brains are all over the map all the time and don't
Yeah,
make a whole lot of sense and have a lot of energy for things that really don't matter.
Yeah.
But at the time, it feels like they do. It just seems like it's so important, and it's really not.
Yes. Another
Yeah.
thing the angels say that uh, the generations, my generation and a couple generations after, it's not as much now, these younger generations, but people were not willing to acknowledge, feel, and allow their emotions to flow through. We judged them, we judged ourselves. When all our emotions are just, they're just a little signal like, okay, and they're fleeting,
Right.
as long as we don't hang on to them, chew them up, spit them out, and make ourselves crazy.
Well, and I think too that speaks a lot to the generation before us. The silent generation gave us a lot to overcome. And
Yeah.
I think that some of the younger generations where there's been a lot of levity about the change in the generational behaviors and the perspectives, but I feel kind of encouraged that some of the younger generations, yeah, they're incredibly sensitive, but I think it's about time. I think it's okay to go from one extreme to the other because there's going to be a balance in there somewhere. We'll come to a balance, I'm sure of it.
Yeah.
I think it's profoundly amazing that younger generations say, I don't want to work 80 hours a week just to survive. I want a day off.
Yeah.
3 days in a row is enough, and I really need a rest. Well, that sounds absurd to someone in my generation thinking, what do you mean you're not going to work 5 days a week until you're ready to drop? Because we were taught to work like animals and not ever cease, to constant. And so I'm very proud of them that they are so soulfully mindful that they can say, no, that exasperates me. It makes me grouchy and I need sleep and I need to relax and I'm getting bummed out doing this yeah, we all do. And we used to just suffer through it and zip up our mouths and you're speaking out. So good for you that you're able to do that. I mean, it's not
Absolutely.
ideal for work for employers, I'm sure, but
Well,
but I get it.
side note of that, which is what has happened over the decades, I would
Yeah.
have people coming to me. An example, one of my clients is a wonderful, at the time, 47-year-old man. He'd been
Mhm.
an attorney for going on 20 years. His family wanted him to be his attorney. His dad was an attorney. His grandfather was an attorney. Blah, blah, blah. You know the whole thing. What I'm going to say next, I'm sure you know. For them to wake up and go, I don't want to be an attorney anymore. And he walked away, trusted himself to figure out what he really wanted to do. Now, this particular man is sailing the world on a sailboat
That's
and
amazing.
countries and cultures and volunteering
Mhm.
to rebuild broken cities, towns, and tribes.
Wow.
So that to me is huge to
That's
realize.
incredible.
Yeah, and they say, "Oh, it's just male menopause." No, these people are finding themselves.
Well, and that sounds like a far better use of his time.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
to explore the planet and do good and pay it forward, as they say, that's kind of incredible. Good for him.
It is. It's yeah, yeah. And I'm blessed to meet a lot of people like that. And like I said earlier on, I don't judge anybody. Whatever your heart and soul. Okay, this is gonna can I get just a tiny bit personal?
Go for it.
Okay. I always said, why did you give me this big rack?
Right,
Whoever to me. I don't wear makeup. I'm not feminine.
right.
And and they went, because people come to you, you have a huge heart, and you're always holding people,
Yeah,
hugging them and holding them. So we gave you
yeah.
that rack so they could lean on it. Oh, well, thank you for the explanation.
Well, that kinda makes sense. It kinda
Yeah,
makes sense. And I've thought of that too. The divine feminine is a rounded figure, rounded
yeah,
hips, rounded butt, bigger boobs.
yeah.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, that makes sense. It's comfort, I guess.
I guess I don't know. As long as you don't make me go and have a makeover and put on all that crap on my face, I'm not doing
Yeah.
it.
I've just gotten used to it because I was trained to do that, so I just do now. It's just
Yeah.
I don't care to all the time, and I look completely different. I was joking around that I look like Whoopi Goldberg in the morning because I have no eyelashes and I have no eyebrows. I
Yeah.
have blonde body hair, so it looks like I'm either a cancer patient or something. not to be disrespectful for anyone going through treatment, forgive me, but you get my meaning. There's nothing. You can't see anything on my face. There's nothing. If I don't put on eyeliner and a little mascara and some eyebrow pencil, I don't look the same. It's like, are you sick? Did you shave your I've had people say, "Did you shave your eyebrows?" Where is because there's nothing there. There's hair, but you can't see it because it's so blonde. I had
Got
someone that I love dearly grab my sleeve one day and hold her arm up to mine, and she said, "Why don't you have any hair?" And I went, "It's there. It's blonde. Just look. It's actually there. There's hair there."
Isn't that funny how our perspectives of what we're supposed to look like?
Yes.
That's a really bad thing back in the 50s.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
We
yeah.
twiggy to be models and gorgeous and but again, I had the angels always encouraging me to just be me.
Yeah.
And when my parents would say, "You can't say that, you can't be," because I've always been very outspoken,
Mhm.
and they go, "Don't listen, be yourself, speak your truth,
Mhm. Yeah.
because you never speak with a mean tongue, a mean
Right.
heart, you never speak to hurt anyone."
Right.
Oh, cool.
Right, because that's not the point. It's not
Right.
a
Yeah.
sword of words to stab at people. It's
Yes.
just a book to open and say, "Consider this," or "Look at that," and be aware of. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
different.
It is.
Honesty is used as a weapon, I think, too much, and I think that's partly why the silent generation's effect has wafted into our culture in a lot of ways. I think because we are discouraged from being honest, we are discouraged from being open, and when people are honest, a lot of times it's only in anger. And so
Yes.
it's hurtful. It's not kind and it's not loving. It's to cut someone, to cause pain, to make someone shrink in
Yes.
some way. And so I appreciate direct honesty as much as possible, even though it may seem awkward for some people. I grew up with it. I was very fortunate to have a very open family. And
Wow.
so it can be very shocking to me sometimes to see people that just don't say what they're thinking. I'd much rather hear it. I'd rather know, what do you really think? What do you like? What do you dislike? And are you okay with that? That saying I'm okay when you're not okay gets old.
I think that's why I retired from dating, especially online dating.
Oh
Yes.
my.
Well, guys, at least in my experience, the last couple of years, how are you today? What did you do? What did you have for breakfast? How does that get to know me? How many children do you have? Are you happily married? Are you this? Are you, just questions. And I understand men are not as expressive as we are.
True.
However, those kinds of things just send me the other way. It's like, okay, if you cannot open a little bit about who you are, what you believe, what you want out of life, and willing to have that go both ways, then you're wasting our time.
Mhm.
And I always say our time. I don't say you're wasting my time. You're wasting our time.
Right. Okay. So if you were talking to someone who had never had a psychic experience and they were curious,
Mhm.
what is a psychic experience like? What would you say?
Normally, I would say to them, sometimes when you're thinking about somebody that you like or love, and all of a sudden the phone rings or you get a text message from that person, that is a psychic connection because we're all energy. And so you're communicating on the etheric level, which is basically what it all is with the energy. And then they'll get curious and they'll go, "Well, do you have a message for me?" And of course, you're aware. Always you got a message. Always. You just do.
Yeah.
And I'll go, "Oh, wow. You've been wanting to go take lessons for ballet and you've been putting it off for 30 years. How about you think about that?" And they'll be like, "Oh, of course." And then their next comment is, "How did you know that?" Well, Sandy doesn't know that. My
Right.
help, the angels are giving me that information to convey to you so that
Right.
you're aware that I am getting your information specifically for you.
Right.
And then people keep wanting. My biggest thing is I don't want them to depend on me. So that's why I teach them the different things and teach them the oracle cards. I don't want them to be dependent on me. Of course, I want them to come for full readings and help them through things, but I want them to learn to help themselves. That's huge to me.
No, I think that's a really valid point, because that's been one of my concerns. When I first started doing more open readings for others in my 20s, I was in Nevada and I had a daycare center briefly. And one of the parents came in one day, and you know how your spirit guides are just blah, 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 and there's
Yeah.
right. And so there it is. And so I'm used to blurting. And so I blurted something out to this mom, and she froze in the doorway and just looked at me and kept blinking and went, "How did you know that?" And I just said, "Well, my spirit guides are telling me that you need to hear this today. That's all." And I'm going about my business, getting diapers and, hanging
Yeah.
up the coat, and just because to me, that was, that happened. And now we're moving on to the next subject. And
Yeah.
she was so excited that I knew something that was helpful to her, that it became a daily question. Did they tell you anything for me today? Did you get
That,
anything for me today? And I just makes you want to bang your head on a table. No, when they do, I will tell you for sure. But, you can meditate and find out. They'll tell you if you
yeah.
want, but, oh, no, I could never do that. I'd just rather ask you. And then it's like, oh, crap. I created a monster. Oh, no.
Well, I've had people in my mentoring program divorce me. My
Oh,
favorite, we're besties now, 15 years later, but she didn't like what was being channeled to her. Oh man, that ego. You can
oh,
see when the ego goes,
yeah.
it's me. They're not receiving the information.
Right.
And so one day she divorced me. And okay, cool. Year later, Sandy, can I come back? I think I was living in ego. I didn't want to hear what the angels were saying. I go, absolutely.
Yeah.
So now she's a successful hypnotherapist.
Nice.
And yeah, back at the time, her parents were still supporting her and she lost custody of her son. So that was a huge
Oh,
drive. But every once in a while, I'll get this text message, Sandy, I have a client. Will you help? She's a me. I go,
yeah.
oh,
Yeah.
no, they're going to divorce me. Okay, gotcha.
Right. Right. I love it. That's awesome. That
Yeah.
is awesome. Yeah, I never thought about hypnotherapy, and I had a dear psychic friend suggest it to me as something I should do, and I love it. I've been doing it since the pandemic, and it's lovely. It's a wonderful, getting away from pills and medicine way to actually help people heal. It's incredible.
Well,
So
I
I'm
got
very grateful.
worthiness from it. We did a trade one day, and
Yeah.
my lack of worthiness, lack of, it disappeared.
Yeah. That's
Oh,
awesome.
it's cool.
So if someone wanted to get a hold of you, Sandy, how can they reach you?
Well, I am Sandi Buchanan on Facebook, and you noticed the blue hair probably.
Yeah.
And I also have a Facebook page, two others. One called Radiant Journeys. That's my
Okay.
business name,
Okay.
which I'm working on my website. And then the other one is Messages from the Angels. Every morning, I go to one of my 40 some decks of cards and ask the angels, what does everyone need today?
Mhm.
This has been going on for 5 years, Holly, and
Yeah.
it's so cool because we've created a soul family, over 1,000 of us now. And every morning I will get a private message. Oh, that message was just for me.
Nice.
Yeah. They're starting to realize we are all one, we're family,
We
but
are connected. Yes.
good. Yeah. And so that this has been just a really phenomenal platform for me.
That's great. I
But
love
again,
that. That's
revamp.
awesome.
And I'm thinking about doing a podcast like you're doing versus going back to Facebook Live. And also you can find me if you want to send me an email. I
Okay.
am Radiant Red, RED 788 at gmail.com.
Okay. And she spells Sandy with an I,
Yes.
and her Buchanan is Buchanan, Sandy Buchanan on
Or as some,
Facebook.
but hey.
Okay. Yeah. Well, Sandi, thank you so much for your interview today. It has been a delight, and I'll definitely have to have you come back on. And if you can hang on just a minute once we finish up, and we'll talk about the podcasting. This is Holly from Holly's Pandorium saying thanks for joining us again. And as my dear friend Jay likes to remind me, please hit the like and subscribe because that helps other people find this content. And thank you for showing up and listening and watching. And we'll see you again soon. This is Holly saying thank you. And thanks for joining us today. And we'll see you again soon.
Thanks, everyone.